As always, at 6:58 a.m. on a normal day, our protagonist was on his usual daily train to Maibara. A familiar face he easily recognized appeared before him. It was a girl, a student from another school whom he knew nothing about, except that every morning she boarded this train. Every morning he always noticed her, but today was different. He felt more nervous than ever because that girl finally sat right next to him. For so long, he had practiced questions he could ask her about her name and the club she was in. But as much as he wanted to, he still couldn't gather enough courage to talk to her. His silent love story only lasted for the 20-minute train ride each day, starting from when he first entered high school. He wasn't alone on this journey because the other passengers had also noticed his feelings, and they were all hoping he would be the one to make a move. It all started 4 months ago, when he first realized that this girl always boarded the train at the same time as him. Based on her uniform, he guessed she might be a student at Rikudu High. A middle-aged office worker had noticed him always staring at the girl. About 3 months ago, she was absent from the train for the first time, and the passengers were surprised to see him start looking for her. A month later, the girl finally sat next to him for the first time. He was extremely nervous sitting so close to her, trying his best to hide the smile on his face, afraid he would look weird in her eyes. 3 passengers sitting nearby easily noticed his obvious joy at sitting next to her, and they were sure he had fallen for her a long time ago. Because of the shared interest in this strange pair, the strangers had created a group chat to share their thoughts. The admin felt annoyed that the boy hadn't dared to confess his feelings even after so long. An office lady quickly argued back, saying that this suspenseful waiting was exciting. A university student agreed, commenting that confessing directly isn't an easy thing to do. The student added that the admin would understand better if he confessed his feelings to the office lady right then and there. Taking that advice as motivation, the admin messaged that he'd always had his eye on her, and when he saw the boy's panicked expression, he quickly took it back, saying he was just kidding. Even so, the office lady still replied that she might not take this train tomorrow. The university student commented that a confession from a stranger would definitely make anyone wary. The group now realized that the boy was probably thinking that if the girl was a junior at Rikudu High, she would stop taking this train next spring, and if he wanted to get to know her better during this time, he would have to be the one to start a conversation. This situation made everyone wish they weren't in such a complicated predicament, so the girl could talk to him like a normal passenger. The university student excitedly added that the boy just needed to exchange phone numbers with the girl. Seeing his reaction, the other 2 passengers were sure he used this method to flirt with girls, completely unaware of the conversation happening around him. The boy thought that if he approached the girl directly after all these months of riding the same train, it would probably be really weird. He needed to think of a common topic to start the conversation. The university student messaged the group chat that the boy could talk to the girl about any topic, but there was only one chance to start it off right, or the girl might never take this train again. The boy was also thinking of a suitable topic when he suddenly realized something and let out a sudden cry. Everyone, including the young girl, was startled by his shout. The group chat was immediately flooded with messages. When the admin asked about the boy's sudden reaction, the university student replied that the girl had a keychain of the character Shion from a popular online game called Ganshin. The office lady quickly noticed that the boy had the same keychain, and though everyone was excited, the university student thought it wasn't that strange since the game was so popular. Finally, the boy mustered the courage to speak, apologizing for shouting like that. Stammering a little, he asked the girl if she liked Ganshin, but unfortunately, instead of the girl, an old man sitting right in front of him replied that he also liked the game. The group chat was immediately unhappy that the old man had jumped into the conversation when the question wasn't for him. Even though everyone was visibly disappointed, the old man continued to comment that it was a strange coincidence and asked the boy about his level in the game. The boy felt discouraged by this misunderstanding because it had taken so much of his courage just to say those words. Making the situation even worse, the old man started talking to the girl, asking about the keychain on her bag. And once again, a twist surprised everyone. The girl, though a bit hesitant, replied that she also liked the game. She explained that she had only started playing recently and chose the game because it was so popular these days. The boy had no chance to speak up because the old man once again cut into the conversation, saying it didn't matter why she played and that she didn't need to compare herself to others. The girl politely replied that she really liked the cute characters in the game, silently thinking that this old man was really kind. Everyone in the group chat eagerly waited to see what would happen next when the boy asked her if she wanted to play the game with him, since it must be fate that they had a common interest. The group chat suddenly came alive, with the admin praising the boy's brave move. While the office lady was eagerly waiting for what would happen next, the university student was happy that they would finally have a chance to talk if she agreed to play the game with him, and maybe they would exchange contact information. Everyone was waiting for the girl's answer, but before she could speak, the old man shyly asked again if the boy really wanted to play the game with him. Everyone almost screamed in unison out of frustration that the old man had jumped into the conversation again. The office lady was annoyed by the old man's confidence, while the admin whispered a wish for the old man to read the room, completely oblivious to what was happening around him. Oblivious to the group's tension, the old man continued to share his contact information with the boy. The boy was stunned once again when he discovered that the old man also got off at the same station as him. Meanwhile, the group chat breathed a sigh of relief, agreeing that today was really interesting. The university student was happy that the boy had tried his best and finally managed to find something in common with the girl he liked. The office lady also couldn't help but be amazed by the strangeness of this one-sided love. As the boy got off the train with the old man, a young girl named Himari boarded and started talking to the girl, now Jian, who was sitting there. Everyone was surprised to discover that this girl had friends too, and they were all eager to find out more about her. Just then, Himari asked her friend why she was blushing so much. Nayu replied that she was so happy that someone finally wanted to talk to her and even wanted to play the game with her. The girl was very shy about the sudden turn of events. Her confession stunned everyone. They wanted to call the boy back, but he had already gone home, disappointed for having missed his chance. Only 3 days later, including the weekend, did the boy get another chance to sit next to the girl, since things ended so strangely the last time they sat together. He never expected her to sit near him again. This made him curious as to why she chose this seat, and he thought it might be because it was the only one left. However, he quickly dismissed the thought, knowing she couldn't have simply chosen it for that reason. He was certain that no one would want to sit next to him. And though he wanted to resolve things by confessing, he couldn't do it just yet. Meanwhile, Nayu was still feeling embarrassed about her excitement, thinking the boy was talking to her, even though she just wanted to play games with him. Their subtle glances at each other didn't go unnoticed by the other passengers. The university student was sure that they both had secret feelings for each other. The office lady, on the other hand, thought the girl was always so serious, too old for her age. Trying to decipher this complicated love story was giving the office lady a headache. Meanwhile, the manager was certain his blood pressure was skyrocketing. Despite this, the university student remained calm, saying that they couldn't resolve everything just by calling it a misunderstanding. The office lady quickly agreed with him. When the manager asked what they were talking about, the office lady replied that they were wrong to think the girl had feelings for the boy too. The university student added that the girl was only embarrassed because she had misunderstood the boy's gesture and that she wasn't actually hiding any feelings. According to him, the boy must be very confused about what was real because every man remembers things like that. They worried that if the boy tried to confess his feelings, the girl might bluntly reject him, and that would hurt him deeply. The manager didn't want to give up, as he was sure they were a perfect match. The office lady also thought there must be a reason why the girl always sat next to the boy, so she just hoped the boy would notice it sooner. She quickly apologized for not realizing this sooner. The university student then commented that he didn't know always sitting next to each other on the train was a sign of affection. His comment flustered the other two, and the manager hurriedly explained that he has a family at home. The office lady also added that she doesn't do it on purpose. Returning to the one-sided love story, the office lady said she was starting to worry about the situation, as the boy might have thought the same as her during their previous encounter. The university student just wanted to think that they were both holding back secret feelings for each other, and just when they thought things were going smoothly, a third person would butt in and interrupt everything. By now, the manager was tired of hearing about this, but they just ignored him. The office lady said that things can't always go smoothly, then added that she might be wrong, but love is often a series of misunderstandings. The manager felt confused by the office lady's words, while the university student agreed with her, remarking that it was hard to guess the girl's feelings, whereas the boy was easy to read. Seeing that everyone was worried about the situation, the manager declared that he would solve the problem. Meanwhile, the boy was blaming himself for his shyness. He couldn't gather enough courage to utter a single word, even though they now had something in common to talk about. He could clearly see the girl's excitement at the chance to talk to him, but he still wondered if she saw him as just another strange passenger. He secretly wished he was someone who stood out like Saito, the soccer player on the team, or at least had a few funny stories to tell her. But he had absolutely no idea what to do in this situation. His thoughts kept circling around the fact that he couldn't achieve anything by just being scared like this, only whining about his current situation. Suddenly, the silence in the group was broken by the university student, as he pointed and told the office lady to look at the girl's reflection in the window, as it seemed she was holding a piece of paper along with her book. The boy was thinking about finding out the truth, even if everything might just be a misunderstanding. However, when he also noticed the paper in the girl's hand, he was surprised to see it said that she liked him too. But before he could do anything, the manager quickly showed him the book she was reading, and he discovered it was just the title of the book. The manager quickly updated the group chat that he was also reading this romance novel, and was getting quite frustrated with the situation. The office lady just exclaimed why he was so desperate for love. Meanwhile, the boy's heart was beating faster than usual, and he felt relieved to have found out the truth before completely misunderstanding the situation. The university student commented that maybe the girl didn't mean anything special by it, since not everyone who reads that book is in love. The boy also reminded himself that the girl was just another student who rode the same train as him, and she probably didn't even notice him. He needed to stop with the fantasies and instead find the courage to actually talk to her. Meanwhile, Nayu glanced at the boy with disappointment when she saw him looking the other way. When she got to school that day, her friend Himari warned her to be more careful when reading while walking, then asked about the novel she was reading. Nayu replied that it was a love story about a boy and a girl who take the train to school every day. She continued that maybe to the boy it meant nothing, but to her it was very special. She just wanted to thank him, because even though they didn't talk, she felt herself drawn to him. Himari pointed out that she had referred to herself, and Nayu quickly explained that she was talking about the main character in the story. Her friends remained skeptical, but Nayu insisted that this only happens in the novel because in those stories, she is the one who is most involved. Meanwhile, the three passengers met up after getting off the train, all trying to figure out if the girl was also in love with the boy and was waiting for him to make a move. The boy, Hikichi, stayed up late, disappointed in himself for forgetting his English homework. He was worried he'd get a bad grade if he didn't finish it properly, but even if he had to pull an all-nighter, he was determined not to miss the train, because he wanted to ride it with the girl, no matter how tired he was. The next morning, on the train, the three passengers were surprised to see Nayu sitting very quietly while Hikichi was sleeping peacefully on her shoulder. When he opened his eyes slightly, he was startled to realize his position, quickly pulling away and apologizing to her. Nayu softly whispered that it was okay, but Hikichi was still stunned, realizing he had accidentally leaned on her and could only hope he hadn't made her uncomfortable. Both of their hearts were pounding. While the three passengers were still confused by what had just happened, the office lady was the first to speak, unable to believe her eyes at the scene, saying she couldn't believe kids these days could do something like that when all she did was slightly nudge the old man next to her. The manager also shared that it felt strange, but the university student disagreed with them, telling them not to compare their dull train rides with youth. Hikachi was still panicking about what just happened, worried that the girl wouldn't sit next to him anymore. He tried to keep his eyes wide open, not wanting to doze off and lean on the girl's shoulder again. Even though he tried his best, he still swayed from drowsiness. The surrounding passengers were eagerly watching to see if he would slump over and lean on the girl again. Everyone was hoping he would lean on her, but Hikachi woke up when the next station was announced. He quickly looked around and breathed a sigh of relief when he realized his stop was still quite a ways off, but was unhappy to discover he had zoned out again. Although he was certain he hadn't leaned on Nayu this time, the situation was genuinely worrying, because the ideal temperature and the swaying of the train were making him incredibly sleepy. Despite being so tired, Hikachi suddenly realized he didn't have to try so hard to stay awake. All he wanted was to stay away from the girl, so he decided to sleep, leaning against the window. He quickly fell asleep while the surrounding passengers were disappointed by the solution he came up with. The manager was annoyed with him for trying to be a gentleman, while the office lady thought he didn't need to be so mindful of etiquette. The college student was the only one with a different opinion, but the office lady nearly shouted that the beauty of it all comes from when a boy and girl are shy around each other. Seeing her get so excited, the college student told her to calm down because even if he was leaning against the window, they just had to wait for the right moment. Seeing the confusion on his chat buddies' faces, he explained that after they passed through the tunnel, there would be a sharp turn, causing the train to move in a way that would make Hikachi automatically fall towards the girl. His friends in the group chat started getting very excited about this prediction. As the college student explained that the boy wouldn't be able to fight inertia while asleep, she said they would be out of the tunnel soon. All three of them prepared to witness the moment the two would touch, and they were eagerly anticipating it. Nayu also felt a thrill as Hikachi slowly tilted towards her. However, before they could see the contact, the entire train began to shake violently from the movement, making it hard for them to even text in their group chat. The college student quickly apologized for being so absorbed in the couple, and in the panic, the office lady accidentally shoved her hand into the manager's neck. Everyone was startled when Hikachi suddenly apologized for touching the girl again, while the manager just had enough energy to lean against the opposite window. Meanwhile, Hikachi had completely woken up and realized he'd accidentally done it again. Even though he was sitting next to the girl, Hikachi had no memory of what had happened, and he was sure she would hate him for leaning on her. He had no idea what he would do if she changed her seat tomorrow. Before he could think any further, the girl gently touched his shoulder and told him it was his station. After quickly composing himself, he thanked her sincerely, then stepped off the train. Just as he started to walk away, she called out to him, but he couldn't hear her over the announcement that the train doors were about to close. He hurried off the train, still unable to believe the girl had actually spoken to him. Even though it shouldn't have been that strange since they always rode the same train, Hikachi was still surprised. Nayu worried that he would think she was a weirdo for noticing him and even knowing which station he got off at. Meanwhile, Hikachi was thrilled to know she paid attention to him and knew his stop. The three gossiping friends were just as happy to see the girl paying attention to Hikachi. In her excitement, the office lady asked if anyone had recorded their conversation, but the university student quickly reminded her that you can't just film other people like that. On another day, Hikachi read his fortune in the morning and found out that people with the Cancer sign had a chance to get acquainted with the person sitting next to them. He was very worried about what would happen on the train and wasn't sure if this would apply to him, since there were so many people with the same sign. Even so, Hikachi felt that something was different, and the other passengers on the train had a similar feeling. After sitting in his usual spot, Hikachi was planning to apologize to the girl for yesterday if she sat next to him. He told himself the situation wouldn't be too awkward, but in his head, the anticipation of their meeting kept spinning around, making him so nervous that he was surprised by the train's speed. Today, that strange feeling still clung to Hikachi. Although he knew this might just be a misunderstanding, he couldn't deny that he was feeling an undeniable surge of courage as he sensed the presence of the girl sitting next to him. Hikachi psyched himself up and turned around, intending to talk to the girl about yesterday. But to his surprise, instead of the girl, the old man from the other day was sitting next to him. The three gossiping friends immediately noticed Hikachi's expression, and the manager was a bit confused to see that he seemed upset about running into the old man. This old man was like a third wheel crashing a date, and he even had a keychain similar to theirs. But in reality, he was just an ordinary person who loved the online game Genshin. Hikachi regained his composure as the old man began to speak, saying that he was also a Cancer and had seen today's horoscope. The friends in the chat group grew annoyed at the old man's obliviousness, and the office lady couldn't hold back, angrily saying that he couldn't be the one to get close to the boy. And she was furious that he had ruined Hikachi's chance. Despite this, the manager still thought the old man hadn't done anything wrong, and the university student agreed with him. They were all curious to see what Hikachi would do in this situation. Just then, they noticed the girl standing in a corner, her face flushed with embarrassment. Nayu felt extremely nervous about sitting next to Hikachi, and her hesitation made the other passengers even more curious about what had happened yesterday. The office lady guessed that there hadn't been any argument yesterday, since the girl was still standing near Hikachi instead of keeping her distance. However, the university student didn't comment on that, instead saying that the situation had now become complicated. The boy couldn't be disrespectful to the old man because the girl was listening to their conversation. This didn't worry them too much, as the boy seemed to be chatting amicably with the old man, and they both loved the same game, so they definitely had a common topic to talk about. The university student was the only one who felt dissatisfied with this situation, because he thought that if they kept chatting cheerfully like this, the girl would think they were close friends and would give her seat to the old man. This could mean that from now on the old man would always sit next to the boy. That prediction made the office lady anxious, remarking that their morning source of inspiration might be coming to an end. The university student pointed out that the boy was surely still very stressed and was trying to understand the situation. Meanwhile, the old man asked Hikichi if he had played the finale of the limited-time event. The boy immediately perked up, hearing about his favorite game, and the group chat was not happy about how comfortable they were getting. Just then, the office lady pointed out that the girl was trembling violently, wanting to apologize to the boy and join the conversation about the game. But she couldn't find the courage to speak up. Seeing her like this, the university student was sure she was shaking for fear of losing her seat to the old man. While everything was in chaos, Hikichi was completely engrossed in his conversation with the old man, who was smiling brightly, saying this was the first time someone liked the same character, and he was so happy to be able to discuss it. Hikichi replied that this was also the first time he'd gotten to talk about his favorite character like this, and it felt like he was confessing his love. However, the university student disagreed with him. The office lady thought it was a confession and worried about what would happen to the girl if they continued their heated discussion about the game. Nayu was dying to join the conversation while the group was sure she was furious because the boy kept talking about the game. The manager was annoyed that Hikichi was talking about a game at a time like this, completely oblivious to the feelings of those around him, lost in praising how amazing the character Shion was. The old man chimed in, saying he felt this was the character they had been waiting for, making Hikichi smile brightly. Nayu watched him quietly, wondering what it would feel like to discuss something she loved with someone she cared about. Even though she went to the same school as him, Nayu was sure she would never dare to approach him. This made her wish she were brave enough to talk to him like this every morning. Once again, the old man surprised everyone by saying he wanted to play the game with Hikichi the next time they sat next to each other on the train. He even asked if Hikichi always took this train, as he wanted them to coordinate their schedules to ride together. The manager worried that from now on the old man would always sit next to Hikichi, depending on the boy's answer. The office lady was worried that this sweet love story would come to an end, and the entire group anxiously awaited Hikichi's answer. As Hikichi was about to open his mouth to reply, Nayu quickly turned around, almost shouting for him to wait. But the old man stunned everyone again by saying he only took the train in the morning for a few days. Hikichi was surprised to realize that the girl had actually turned to look at him, while Nayu was embarrassed by her sudden reaction. The group chat was also shocked by this turn of events and couldn't believe the old man was playing with everyone's hearts. The next day, Nayu stood a little farther away from Hikichi, too embarrassed by what happened yesterday to sit near him. When she finally sat down next to him, they were both so nervous they couldn't even look at each other, and everyone on the train could feel the tense atmosphere between them. Surprisingly, the passengers weren't paying much attention to the couple today, as they were all distracted by the delicious smell of asam maku. The office lady wondered who had brought food onto the train, while the university student just commented that it smelled amazing. The manager shyly admitted that he was the one who brought the food. The office lady didn't mind him bringing food but was unhappy that it distracted her from watching the sweet story unfold before her. Just then, the university student pointed out that Hikichi and Nayu seemed more nervous than usual. The manager quickly explained that he hadn't done anything, and the university student replied that the food wasn't the issue. But he didn't understand why the two of them were so tense. Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound echoed from someone's stomach, startling all the passengers on the train. Nayu was mortified by the situation since she was sitting right next to Hikichi, but she quickly realized the sound hadn't come from her. A girl sitting in front of them admitted she was very hungry and that it was her stomach that had growled. Nayu regretted choosing not to eat a full breakfast because she was on a diet. Hikichi also felt extremely embarrassed by the situation, which would have been normal if the person he liked wasn't sitting right next to him. When the three gossips realized that neither of the two wanted their crush to hear their stomach growl, they were all excited to see their relationship progressing. The university student commented that it was a natural thing, but wanting to hide it from your crush was part of a budding romance. The office lady was also very excited, saying that from now on they needed to pay even more attention to the couple. Suddenly, the office lady let out a sigh of disappointment, causing the other two to look at her with concern. She quickly explained that she was also affected by the smell of the asam maku, and she wasn't happy about it because her stomach was about to rumble, interrupting the show between him and her, which had become like a stage play. The university student added that he was hungry too, and the manager quickly reassured them that the smell of asam maku was fading. Hikichi also hoped to keep his hunger under control. But just then, another girl on the train started talking about the lunch she was going to have, and the boy next to her added a few more dishes to her menu, making everyone crave food even more. The office lady felt that mentioning a lunch menu at a time like this was unacceptable, and the manager started to lose his appetite as well. The only one calm among them was the university student, who said that the food wasn't actually here, and they couldn't let their stomachs growl. Nayu was also trying to control her hunger, but then she suddenly remembered something and took out a pack of gummy candies from her bag. The group of onlookers was delighted to see that Nayu had something to curb her hunger, but to their disappointment, her pack of gummies was empty. The manager noticed Takechi taking a lunchbox out of his bag, but he wasn't happy about it, since the boy would have nothing to eat for lunch. What worried the university student even more was that if Hikichi opened the lunchbox, he would be the one spreading the smell of food, making everyone even hungrier. Hikichi, completely oblivious to anyone around him, opened his lunchbox, started eating his curry, and immediately the other passengers were hit by another wave of hunger. The office lady felt that today's commute was absolute torture, and the university student was certain that some people wouldn't be taking this train again, but he was more worried about what would happen to the sweet couple. Nayu was sure she wouldn't be able to resist the smell of curry, and her stomach would growl any second. At this point, everyone was just waiting to see whose stomach would be the first to give in. The manager broke the silence, saying that as adults, they couldn't just sit by and let things happen like this. They wanted to see the kids get embarrassed, but they couldn't do anything when the pair was just being shy and not making a move. He continued, saying that before they could be spectators, they needed to behave like grown-ups. His partner agreed, feeling embarrassed for getting too caught up in the love story unfolding before their eyes. The manager didn't stop there, continuing on to say that as adults, the only thing they could do was to help these kids. Suddenly, he pulled out some food and offered to share it with Nayu and Hikichi, surprising his two gossiping friends. As it turned out, he was the one who brought the food onto the train in the first place. While they were arguing about the manager's decision to bring food on the train, Nayu poured herself a cup of tea, which gave Hikichi the idea to get a drink. Suddenly, both of their stomachs rumbled loudly. But they didn't have time to feel embarrassed because right after, the entire train car was filled with the sound of rumbling stomachs coming from the surrounding passengers. The office worker angrily complained that everyone was suffering because of the food intended for Hikichi, and the manager sheepishly replied that it might have been the smell of the curry. The situation suddenly became hilarious, causing Hikichi and Nayu to forget their embarrassment, and instead they both started laughing together. As soon as the train stopped, the noodle and curry shops were suddenly swamped with customers.